Hi there. We're taking a few more questions today on polynomials. Let's go to it very, very quickly. Number one says, if x plus 1 is a factor of the polynomial f of x equals x cubed plus kx squared plus 3x plus 10, find the value of the constant k and factorize the polynomial completely. All right, let's go to that. We have that number one, f of x is x cubed plus kx squared plus 3x plus 10. Since x plus 1 is a factor of f of x, that simply means when f of x is divided by x plus 1, the remainder is f of minus 1. The remainder is f of minus 1, which is the same as minus 1 cubed plus k times minus 1 squared plus 3 times minus 1 plus 10. And we know that when a polynomial is divided by a factor of it, the remainder is 0. So that means f of minus 1 is 0. And that simply means minus 1 cubed is minus 1. Minus 1 squared is 1 times k, that's k. Minus 3 times minus 1 is minus 3 plus 10 equals 0. So that means minus 1 minus 3 is minus 4. Minus 4 plus 10 is 6. That simply means k plus 6 equals 0, which means k equals minus 6. Now we can factorize f of x completely. But we need to write it in full first of all. That means f of x is x cubed plus kx squared means minus 6x squared. Since k is minus 6 plus 3x plus 10. So this is f of x. Now to factorize f of x completely, we divide it by its factor. X cubed minus 6x squared plus 3x plus 10. We are dividing it by its factor, which is x plus 1. So as usual, we divide x cubed by x. That gives us x squared. And now we multiply the whole of this by that result, which means x times x squared, x cubed, 1 times x squared. Now we subtract. X cubed minus x cubed is 0. Minus 6x squared minus x squared is minus 7x squared. And then we bring down the next term, which is 3x, and go again. Minus 7x squared divided by x is minus 7x. Now we multiply again the whole of the divisor by that result. And then we have minus x times minus 7. X times minus 7x is minus x times minus 7x is minus 7x squared. And 1 times minus 7x is minus 7x. We subtract again. Minus 7x squared minus 7x squared is 0. 3x minus 7x is the same as 3x plus 7x, which is 10x. We'll bring down the next term. Now we go again. 10x divided by x, that's 10. And now we multiply the whole of this divisor by that result, which means x times 10, 10x, and 1 times 10, 10. Now we subtract. When we subtract, we're going to get 0. 10x plus 10 minus 10x plus 10 is 0. So that has shown clearly that x plus 1 is a factor of f of x. So that means f of x is equal to x plus 1 times x squared minus 7x plus 10. x squared minus 7x plus 10. But we can still factorize x squared minus 7x plus 10. And that's going to become x squared minus 5x minus 2x plus 10, which is x into bracket x minus 5 minus 2 into bracket x minus 5. And that means x minus 2 times x minus 5. Therefore, the complete factorization of f of x is x plus 1 times x minus 2 times x minus 5. So we can see that the factors are 3 because the polynomial is a cubic polynomial. Now to number 2. Number 2 says the expression px squared plus qx plus 6 is divided by x minus 3, and it has a is divisible rather by x minus 3. The expression px squared plus qx plus 6 is divisible by x minus 3, and it has a remainder of 20 when it's divided by x plus 1. Find the values of p and q. So first of all, we name the polynomial. Let h of x be px squared plus qx plus 6. Now, when h of x is divided by x minus 3, which is a factor of it, the remainder is h of 3. That's by the remainder theorem, and that's given by p times 3 squared plus q times 3 plus 6, which is equal to 0, because x minus 3 is a factor of h of x. That simply means 3 squared is 9. 9 times p, 9p. 3 times q is 3q plus 6 equals 0. And that means 9p plus 3q equals minus 6. We can divide through by 3, and that makes it 3p plus q equals minus 2. That's equation 1. When h of x is divided by x minus 3, the remainder is when h of x is divided by x plus 1, when h of x is divided by x plus 1, the remainder is h of minus 1, and that's given by p times minus 1 squared plus q times minus 1 plus 6, and the value of that remainder is 20. So that means h of minus 1 is 20. So that simply means minus 1 squared is 1 times p, that's p, minus 1 times q is minus q plus 6 equals 20. And that means p minus q equals 20 minus 6, which means p minus q equals 14. And that's equation 2. Now we can solve equations 1 and 2 simultaneously. 3p plus q equals minus 2, and p minus q equals 14. Solving 1 and 2 simultaneously. 3p plus q equals minus 2. And then p minus q equals 14. So now we can simply add the two equations to solve for to obtain the value of p. 3p plus p is 4p. Q minus q is 0. That's equal to minus 2 plus 14 is 12. And we divide both sides by 4 to get p. So therefore p is equal to 3. Now putting p in either of the two equations, I've chosen to put it in 1. Putting p in 1, 3p which means 3 times 3 plus q equals minus 2. That means 9 plus q equals minus 2. And it means q equals minus 2 minus 9. And then q is equal to minus 11. Therefore, p equals 3. Therefore, p equals 3 and q equals minus 11. Those are the values of p and q. Alright, so that's it. Very, very simply. And I'm sure it's explanatory enough and you enjoyed it. Thank you very much and see you in